Thank you. So Mick, just for your records, I will have a bit of an update on our novel vessel policy a bit later in my presentation. So watch this space on that one. So thank you everyone for your time. Most of you, or some of you, would know me. I've been with AMSA for about 10 years. Part of that time I was managing the accredited surveyor scheme for AMSA, so familiar face to a lot of you from that process. I'm currently senior advisor in our policy and regulation team, where I've been for about 3 years. So today I just want to give you an update on what's going on in the national law, what we're doing with the marine orders and the standards in our current regulatory program, and just give you an overview of where things are at. So as I said, what I'll cover, so I'll briefly touch on the independent review of the national law, give you an overview of the national law, noting that Mick previously, give you an update to the marine orders, the NSCV, and then some other updates of what's going on. So the independent review of the national law. So AMSA is closely monitoring the outcome of the national law review. In November of this year, November of 2022, we provided submission to response to the panel's draft interim report, which is available on the Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development, Communications and the Arts website. Try and say that quickly. So I'll give a quick overview of the independent review for those of you who aren't familiar necessarily with it. So in January 2022, the government commissioned a comprehensive independent review of the national law and associated legislative framework. The review encompassed 2 phases, with the first focusing on the national law framework and the second exploring the delivery costs and future funding options of the national law, the national system. A 3-person independent review panel with a mixed safety, regulatory, financial and industry expertise was established to undertake the review. The review panel consulted with stakeholders, receiving feedback from government agencies, industry and unions through both written submissions and verbal engagement. This included consultation on the review panel's draft interim safety report from phase 1 in August 2022. Following consultations with industry stakeholders across Australia, the review panel made various adjustments and amendments to its August 2022 draft. And the government is now considering the panel's findings and recommendations. The review panel has commenced the work on phase 2 of the review. However, government has indicated that AMSA's costs and options to sustainably fund AMSA in the future will be further considered in the review of operations of Australian transport safety and investigations bodies, which was announced in this year's budget. So that one's kind of been put on hold pending the second review. So I'll quickly now give you a national overview, again noting that this was covered by Mick in his presentation a bit earlier. So most of you will be familiar with this already. We have the, so we work closely with the department. I won't go through the acronym again, who administers the national and the regulations, and AMSA administers the marine orders and the NSCV under the national law, and there are other standards that are applicable to DCVs, but we administer the actual NSCV itself. Each year we publish an annual regulatory program, and this program contains information on consultation on legislation or other action planned during the current financial year that could lead to changes in our regulatory instruments. So that's what I'm going to go.
Oh, Lorien, we've lost you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I've lost your presentation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Let me share my screen again.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, am I back?
It looks like it. You are. You're back.
Excellent. So I'm not sure what happened there, but glad it wasn't for too long. As I mentioned, what I'm going to go through today are the items that are on our currently regulatory. So whilst we work hard to deliver the program as published, there may be unforeseen delays to consultation or implementation for amended instruments, including from consultation feedback, resourcing constraints or other work priorities. There also may be some regulatory activities that we're unable to forecast the time the program is published. So the first lot of updates I'll go through are marine orders, because they're the higher arching piece instruments. So Marine Order 501 is an administrative order that sets out rules of interpretation and common definitions that apply to the other marine orders, processes for making applications or requesting a review or decision, criteria to determine whether a person is fit or proper person under the national law, prescribed standards, process involved in returning detained vessels, and details relating to infringement notice and penalties. So the previous Marine Order 501 commenced in 2013 and was due to expire in October of this year. So we have remade Marine Order 501 so it can continue to operate beyond that date. We've also taken the opportunity to improve the readability and clarity of the instrument. So key changes include removing outdated references such as the now revoked NSAD Part D, which was about crew competencies. But all the changes do not affect existing arrangements for industry. And that Marine Order commenced on the 1st of September, so just a couple of weeks ago. Marine Order 503, which is the one that you will almost be interested in. We were undertaking a limited scope review of Marine Order 503 to address technical and workability issues with the survey changes that commenced in 2018, as well as the transitional vessel triggers and required surveys. But with the independent review that I mentioned previously, we anticipate that the final recommendations from that review will trigger a broader review of Marine Order 503. So we've paused the current review that we had in place while the government considers the outcomes of the national review, just to avoid having a new one come in and then having to re-go and review it again. So Marine Order 504, our review of 504 was prompted by the recent reissue of Marine Order 505. As there are clear linkage between the crewing arrangements in 504 and the crew competency requirements in Marine Order 505. An industry working group was formed to assist AMSA in designating regulatory solutions that are both practical and proportionate. Based on industry feedback, it was decided to split the review into two phases. Phase 1 was focused on improving crewing arrangements and life jacket wear requirements, and phase 2 will focus on SMS provisions. So during phase 1 of the review, we consulted extensively with the working group to inform policy settings, and this collaboration identified a series of improvements to Marine Order 504 to provide greater consistency with Marine Order 505, along with clarifying and strengthening key concepts related to operational safety. The phase 1 changes to Marine Order 504 came into effect on the 1st of August of this year, and they include aligning crewing provisions with the new set of competency arrangements, simplifying the format of the minimum crewing table, emphasising the need for fatigue to be adequately considered when determining risk-based crewing levels, ensuring the risk assessment is accessible to the master crew and enforcement personnel, requiring owners to consult with master and crew in the development of risk assessments, adding more specific onboard training and drill requirements for emergency procedures and associated record keeping requirements, strengthening the designated person provision to ensure clear and direct reporting pathways for the escalation of issues, keeping a copy of the vessel's SMS on board and with onshore personnel, and clarifying the existing requirement for life jacket wear to be addressed in the vessel's risk assessment and written procedure in the SMS. So the second phase of the review will focus on SMS provisions, as I mentioned. The review aims to deliver greater safety outcomes by ensuring that SMS are practical, clear, and easy to use. Phase 2 will also seek to incorporate simplified SMS requirements for small low-risk vessels. Several proposed amendments of Phase 2 have been identified in collaboration with the working group during a series of workshops held between October last year and July this year. So those proposed amendments include clarifying the requirements for the master responsibility and authority statement, adding a requirement for designated person responsibility and authority statements, adding a requirement to ensure the risk assessment identifies how the risk of master and crew fatigue is managed in accordance with a fatigue management plan, adding a requirement for drug and alcohol policy in the vessel's SMS, adding procedures for onboard operations where relevant, including carriage of dangerous goods, passage planning, and vessel bunkering, and adding procedures that need to be included in the vessel's emergency plans, such as propulsion and oil or fuel spills. So really big review, lots going on with that one, so watch this space. So Marine Order 505, as I mentioned, it commenced on the 1st of January, so it was recently reviewed, provides a much more streamlined instrument for seafarers in the existing certificate of competency or those seeking to obtain a new one. Extensive public consultation was undertaken in 2019 and 2021 on Marine Order 505. The consultation also included an industry reference group. So major changes to Marine Order 505 include a new Coxswain 3, which provides an opportunity for low complexity operators of vessels less than 7.5 metres to gain a COC. So this replaces the previously existing exemption 38 for the same duties, but provides more entry pathways. It has clearer guidelines have been developed on who needs a general purpose hand COC, which are based on the level of supervision by certified crew. Master 35 and Master 80 have been replaced by Master 45 and Master 100 respectively. So the new Marine Order 505 allows the existing certificate of competency holders to continue to work as if they hold the new certificates. And when it comes time to renew, their certificates will be updated and replaced. And it's an automatic upgrade. The seafarers aren't required to formally apply for the new certificate of competency with the greater length. From January 2023, so 1st of January this year, the 600 nautical mile endorsements are no longer issued upon renewal of associated certificates of competency. So a new exemption 47, has been put in place to allow those crew who worked on the small number of vessels that operate outside the EEZ to continue working on those vessels. And 7 general exemptions have been repealed as they're now incorporated with the new Marine Order 505. So that was a big body of work as well. So NSCV, so this is one that you'll all be very interested in. So current updates that are in our regulatory program. So the first one being NSCV C1. So external consultation has been completed on the C1 review and input from stakeholders has been assessed. The approval draft updated to accommodate feedback where appropriate. The draft is undergoing its final endorsement before being sent for approval and publishing. Commencement of the new C1 is anticipated for early next year. C7A, so an external consultation draft and supporting materials have been prepared. An external consultation is planned for an 8-week period in October and November 2023. So we will write to the surveyors specifically about that as we normally do with all our consultations, and it will be obviously all our normal public consultation process on the AMSA website, all our communication channels. So the proposed changes are estimated to result in the net cost saving for industry, and the proposed changes in the external consultation draft include modernising the format to make it easier to read, consolidating information needed to comply in the one document, new options for smaller, lighter light crafts on less than 15 metre class 2 and 3 vessels, aligning with the latest ISO and Australian standards for life jackets, life rafts, and carriage of infant life jackets, allowing B water vessels more options for life jacket type, allowing CD and E waters vessels the option to choose soulless life jackets, setting standards for the circumstance where a vessel carries only inflatable type life jackets. To assist operators in remote areas, inflatable life jackets were able to be serviced by a competent person rather than only an approved service station, setting an end date for compliance with life jacket type on existing vessels, clarifying the term level flotation when used as a determining factor in life raft carriage requirements, absorbing 2 generic equivalent solutions, being for first aid supplies and buoyant storage devices, clarifying the need for existing vessels that weren't previously required to carry life rafts as per requirements for new vessels, if it's applicable to them, absorbing permissions from exemption 2 for certain inshore fishing vessels, correcting the description for correct life raft installation, clarifying the definition of hazardous waters, removing the reference to dangerous flora and sharks, updating terms of first aid and medical carriage, and updating the Annex 1 transitional arrangements. So lots going on there. NSCVG, so this one is a technical review of the content of Part G, consider and address design, construction and equipment standards for equipment carriage, new non-survey pontoon style boats entering in commercial survey, new unpowered barges less than 12 metres entering commercial service, electrical systems, fire safety and construction of vessels less than 6 metres long. And this review is expected to be finalised in 2024-25 financial year. We've also got a couple of omnibus amendments. So it's a one amendment to cover multiple chapters of the NSCV. So there's 2 of those which will address the required changes. So the first omnibus amendment instrument is for the maintenance of the NSCV. Focus on the correction of various minor issues, including editorial and formatting changes across multiple chapters. The instrument will not contain any policy change and will have no financial impact on industry. The second omnibus amendment will focus on a streamlining approach to addressing priority amendments, including compatibility with the implementation of emerging technologies. Consultation periods for each amendment will be confirmed as the projects progress and the changes are fully scoped, but both are expected to be finalised in 24-25. So other updates that might be of interest to you. So Marine Order 97 and Exemption 44. So as you're likely aware, a revised Marine Order 97 entered into force on the 1st of January of this year, and a revised Exemption 44 has also been published. So Exemption 44 exempts DCVs from the requirements in Marine Order 503 to hold an EIAPP certificate to be issued for a certificate of survey. So it's important to note that the EIAPP requirements still apply to DCVs through Marine Order 97. So Marine Order 97 requires DCVs to have an EIAPP certificate on board and an associated technical file for each marine diesel engine over 130 kilowatts that's installed or undergoes a major conversion after 31st of December 2022. So we've written to the engine suppliers to urge them to secure the required certification prior to the import of engines into Australia, or otherwise at the time the engine is tested by the manufacturer for the NOx compliance. If you come across an engine supplier that is not providing the certification, please let your local AMSA office know, or AMSA Connect, and we will touch base with that supplier. And something that I know we get a lot of questions about. So AMSA accepts EIAPP certificates issued for individual engines or member engines of a family of a group of serial manufactured engines. Each engine installed requires its own EIAPP certificate, and the operator must carry the certificates on board. An EIAPP certificate must be engine serial number specific. It should have the same format regardless of whether the NOx emission testing by the manufacturer was undertaken on the engine or the parent engine of an engine family or group of serially manufactured engines. It's a tongue tie. So Marine Order 27. So a review of Marine Order 27 is occurring. And the revised Marine Order 27 will give effect to amendments to SOLAS Chapter 4, which deals with radio communication, and SOLAS Chapter 5, which deals with safety of navigation. These amendments enter in force on 1st of January next year. So Marine Order 27 is referenced in NSCV C7B and C7C. So C7B and C7C will be updated to refer to the new Marine Order 27. However, there are no resulting changes to carriage requirements in the NSCV. So external consultation for Marine Order 27 commenced on Monday this week, on the 11th, and closes on Sunday, the 8th of October. So if you're interested in that one, feel free to go and have a look at the consultation. And as promised, novel vessels. So an emerging vessel technology policy team has been established at AMSA, headed up by Ben Cantle, who used to be in our vessel safety unit. So the team are formatting a policy roadmap to identify and define emerging technology priorities to guide policy development. The roadmap will seek to address priority technology lifecycle enablers, including regulations, design standards, construction and in-service inspection requirements, and seafarer competency. AMSA is aware of a number of industry emerging technology projects nationally. I welcome conversations with all industry stakeholders on their project plans to inform the strategy priorities. AMSA is also researching low emission fuels, electrification and autonomous systems, the associated codes and standards. So where possible, AMSA will collaborate with our international partners to align emerging technology policy settings and guidance with other regulatory authorities that have operational profiles and risks comparable to Australia. So that was a very, very quick overview of everything that's going on. Are there any questions or any comments on any of that?
Lorien, thank you so much for a comprehensive update. You clearly are a very busy lady.
It's not just me doing it all, but
No, of course
yes,
not,
we are very, very busy.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Right, I'm sure there'll be questions for you. So anybody want to raise any issue directly with Lorien at this stage? Well, you stunned them all into silence.
Too much information.
No, it's fine.
Oh, Lorien,
Mick?
I'll ask a question considering.
Yeah, go on, Mick.
Yeah. Just in regards to those novel vessels, I think can you confirm if the outcome of that is that for a vessel operator is that they have to go to class if they become a novel vessel? Because I think this is the question that we get the most. It's like the client, as I explained to Adam before, the client wants to be innovative. And yet the cost of compliance via class is just too big a hurdle, and I know that the foreign regulators have assistance when it comes to that, but AMSA do not, and it just seems a way that AMSA just pushes them aside. It's just like, well, we're not that interested in going green anyway, so we'll just push it to class, knowing that they're not going to go forward with it.
I think we haven't had the capacity to really dive in and look at these previously. I think the idea is to minimize what is a novel vessel. So, emerging technologies aren't emerging if they're commonplace anymore. So we want to bring those into the NSCV and our marine orders. So we're not trying to push things to class unnecessarily. It's just, whilst we don't have a framework for them, that's the best place for them. But we're trying to, and that's the purpose of this new team, is to try and bring things in and actually have a policy statement and actually have a way of treating these vessels, within our current standards.
Oh, but thank you. Hopefully you guys can find a pathway. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mick. Any other questions? No, Lorien, you really have stunned them into silence. Very much appreciate your time, and it's good to see you, and thanks very much for giving your time to come and give an update. So I'm just going to stop that recording.